Hello, and welcome to Everything Explained. Today we're diving into a question that sounds simple but is really a long story: how ancient times measured time. Before clocks ticked in our pockets or on the wall, how did people know when to plant, pray, sail, or meet? The answer is a toolbox of ingenious methods, each built to fit the needs and skies of its creators. Well, walk through sundials, water clocks, candles, hourglasses, and the big shift to calendars that kept civilizations in step with the seasons. By the end, you'll see time as something human, made by people watching the sun, the stars, and the flow of water. First came the day-night clock. The sun. The day simply rose and fell with the sun. But people wanted markers. A stick, a gnomon, in the shadow cast on a wall or ground, that's a sundial. It relies on the sun's arc across the sky. The trick is that the shadow's path depends on where you stand on Earth, and it changes with the seasons. Ancient Egyptians used large stone versions near temples. They could tell roughly when it was morning or afternoon by the shadow. Think of a sundial as nature's clock. No gears, just geometry and the weather. Next, the water clocks. Clepsydras. If you can't count a shadow, count the water. A vessel filled with water lets it flow out, or in. The level in the tank marks time. The Greeks, the Babylonians, and later the Chinese all used variants. Water clocks could be quite steady if the hole was controlled, but temperature and water viscosity could throw things off. They were handy indoors, during long speeches, courtroom sessions, or when you needed to coordinate something in darkness. Our toolkit also included candles and lamps. Some candles were crafted with evenly spaced marks along the wax, so that as the candle burned, the marks would line up with a line on the candle holder. As the wax shortens, you had a rough sense of hours. Oil lamps were used similarly in places with steady burn rates. The image is simple: a night scene, a candle burning, and a few hours passing as the flame slowly dims. Every culture could adapt this approach with its own wax recipes, wick styles, and marks. And then the hourglass, the sand clock. Sand trickling through a narrow neck turned seconds into minutes and minutes into hours. On ships, sailors loved hourglasses because they remained portable and didn't rely on the sun or a candle in the night. The hourglass helped keep watches on a deck and safe navigation through seas when a cloud covered the sun. Dividing the day into 24 hours was a late but lasting idea. In many ancient cultures, the day was split into two halves: 12 hours of daylight, rising and falling with the sun, and 12 hours of night. But those hours weren't fixed in length, they changed with the seasons. A summer hour was longer than a winter hour. It wasn't until later, with mechanical clocks, that hours became equal everywhere. Those equal hours let towns ring bells together and coordinate markets, prayers, and train schedules in later centuries. Calendars are another piece of the puzzle. Humans kept track of cycles, the seasons, planting, and harvests, by counting days with lunar or solar rhythms. A purely lunar calendar slips gradually out of sync with the seasons, so societies added intercalary days or months. The Greeks and Egyptians used various schemes. Rome eventually settled on a solar year. In 46 BCE, Julius Caesar introduced the Julian calendar, 365 days with a leap day every 4 years. It fixed drift for a long time, but not perfectly. By the 16th century, the Gregorian reform refined the leap years to better align with the solar year. Across the world, stars and astronomy helped tell time too. In some places, rulers and priests used star positions to mark hours at night or to predict seasonal ceremonies. Sailors, too, watched celestial cues while their clocks labored with water and sand. All these methods were not just science, they were social systems. When to farm, when to pray, when to sail, when to gather in the market. Time was a shared rhythm, not a private haste. So the story of ancient timekeeping is a story of human ingenuity meeting a stubborn problem. The sky doesn't come with a clock. People built clocks, shadow clocks, water clocks, burning candles, falling sand, and eventually gears and bells, to make sense of nature's beat. Each method fit a culture's needs, resources, and skies. In the end, counting time let communities thrive, planning seasons, maintaining safety at sea, coordinating trade, and keeping faith with daily rituals. Time, in other words, was something to manage together, not a personal tick-tock you carry alone. And when you pass a shade on a wall or hear a church bell ring, remember you're hearing centuries of curiosity turning the mysterious world into something we can walk through, step by step.